What's going on, guys? It's KG, RoughToBeBuffTV. We're back today for some glute training. So what we're gonna be taking a look at today is a few different movements. We're gonna be going over the sumo deadlift, which I covered last week. I got a few pointers from my ex-client who is now an elite power lifter and glute building extraordinaire, Sean Murphy. Sumo deadlift, we're gonna take a look at also the GHD, the back hip extension, the GHD hamstring curl, as well as the reverse hyperextensions to add some roundness and some fullness to the booty. We're also gonna be using today Slingshot hip circle by Mark Bell, and we're also going to be using some mini bands to help you to build some width and some roundness to the outsides of those glutes. So welcome back, RoughToBeBuffTV. Hope you guys enjoy the glute video today. Okay, so here's what we got first. We're gonna go over the hamstring curls and also the GHD hip extension, or some people like to call them back extensions. We're gonna combo both of the exercises together. So take a look. When you are setting yourself up for the GHD hip extension, you want your legs completely locked out, okay? Now first we're gonna do the hip extension, then we're gonna go into the actual hamstring curl. So with the hip extension, placement on the GHD, ideally guys, you want your hips right on the north side of the pads here. So that's gonna give you room to go through your extension movement, okay? So the big thing here is keeping your chin tucked down and trying to not overactivate your lumbar spine. So when I'm getting into this position here, I'm gonna be leaning forward, my chin is gonna be tucked down to my chest. My shoulders are rounded forward. That way that's gonna take out my back muscles as much as possible. And I'm gonna extend and squeeze through my hips and my glutes. Pretty basic. Just all I'm coming up is I'm trying to squeeze and tighten my butt as much as possible so that I get a good isometric hold, good control on the way down, and fire up with good speed. The way down is the eccentric motion, so make sure that you're paying attention to keeping that tempo nice and controlled, and a good squeeze up at the top. The second movement is the hamstring, the GHD hamstring curl, okay? So we're gonna need to get some flexion and some bending in the knee. Now how that's gonna look, it's the same exact setup as the hip extension. Now we're gonna add flexion to the knee. So I'm gonna bow forward, I'm gonna accelerate up, squeeze those hamstrings slow on the way down, accelerate up, squeezing those hamstrings, and nice and steady on the way down. Big squeeze, steady on the way down. Fire up. Ooh, they're burning already. I'm gonna give you two more. Big squeeze in those hamstrings. And nice and steady on the way down. Now, super important that when you guys are going over the hamstring, think of the hamstring very similar to as the bicep would curl. It's the same thing when you're kicking up that heel and activating those hamstrings. So you don't want to come up too violently, you're out of control. It's a very difficult thing to do as far as getting up and controlling your tempo, your range of motion, but squeezing that hamstring, getting that heel as close to your glute as you possibly can to get super, super good activation in that posterior chain, hamstring, and glute area. Super important, quick 1 and 2 when you guys are doing the GHD hip extension and the hamstring curl. Time under tension. If you guys are just violently whipping yourself up and down without creating a whole lot of tension on those muscle fibers, don't expect your glutes to grow a whole lot. One of the simplest techniques for your muscle mass to grow, for you to grow in general, is TUT, time under tension. Every trainer knows this. They may not tell you, but it's just a secret of ours that we use. If we want to make something more difficult, we slow it down, or we make it more explosive. But your mechanics got to be really, really good when you're using power movements or you're going for speed. So time under tension, especially with the hamstring curl. So if you guys are having difficulty, a good thing to do is maybe start at the top of the lift and then slowly lower your way down, which I'm going to show you in a second here. For the hamstring curl, if you guys are having difficulty, usually the hard part for most folks is getting all the way up into flexion, is getting up into this position and to get the hamstrings firing, because quite honestly, a lot of folks don't have very strong hamstrings, so it's a very difficult place for them to start. So a good thing to do is use the pikes on the bottom of the bench here, or you use the hip pads, push off. This is basically your starting position. Now you're gonna work on lowering down slowly. Let the legs go completely straight. I'm gonna re-grip, restart up top. I'm getting a good hamstring curl here. I'm gonna let go, and then down nice and slow. Push up with my hands, reset. Hamstrings are tight, down, nice and steady. And that's gonna help you build some eccentric strength in your hamstrings so that over time, you're able to fire yourself up. Now remember, starting from the top, down nice and slow, let the legs go straight. Use your hands on the hand pegs, push yourself up, down nice and slow. Progressions of this exercise, simply use some weight. Grab a kettlebell, woo, I'm a little lightheaded. Grab a kettlebell, grab a plate, any type of load. First things first though, is our form perfect? Because like we always talk about it, form first, right guys? Last thing we're gonna go over is the reverse hyperextension. So for you guys that are really small, you may have to adjust your GHD accordingly. So I know that I'm a little bit longer than most, I guess than the average bear. So I'm gonna have to reach out nice and long and grab a hold of the two handlebars up at the top. Now from here, my feet are gonna come off the ground, and it's exactly like the hip extension, but now we're just working on squeezing and driving those heels towards the roof. You guys can get a few holds. Some people like to go one at a time. I always feel that two is best. You're kind of knocking out just faster, you're getting more done quicker. The way you do position your feet, like turning your feet like straight or externally rotating them, does make a difference in how you activate those glutes. So it's, as always, super important. Make sure the movement's nice and controlled. With the reverse hyperextensions, I like to never really come to a rest. So I'm just constantly demanding activity from my booty. I've been working really hard on developing my glutes because I just want to have a really, really sweet ass. So hopefully this video helps you guys get similar results. So that one, reverse hyperextension on the glute hamstring developer, the GHD. Next thing we're covering, mini bands. Perform Better, oh, I think that's upside down. Performbetter.com. And then also the Slingshot. Love these by Mark Bell. Shout out to Slingshot and performbetter.com. Mike Boyle. If you guys are looking to follow two really good trainers that I followed my entire career, Mark Bell and also Mike Boyle. So this is gonna work on some lateral movement to help build outsides, glute medius and the minimus, and add some fullness to the outside for your booty gains, okay? So we're gonna go over a super simple but extremely difficult exercise, some side steps with the mini bands and with the Slingshot hip circle. So with the side step, it's super important that you keep your feet nice and square. You don't want them turned outwards. Nice and square, or even sometimes I tell my clients to make sure that they're almost feeling a little pigeon-toed. So when you're looking at the side step, it's a small, controlled step using the outsides of those glutes and hips. I'm bowing my chest forward and taking controlled steps with the step on the way out, but I'm also controlling my instep. I see a lot of people drag that bottom foot or that leg just kind of snaps in there. You guys are missing the eccentric motion of that movement. So I tell folks, pigeon your toes, nice and steady. And get kind of football ready or like athletic ready. So you're pushing your hips back, your butt's sticking out, your chest is over your toes, and then you're just gonna sidestep laterally until my ass is already on fire. So that's with the mini band. Now, the mini bands come in a few different colors. Usually with your bands, the lighter the color, the easier the resistance. The darker the color, the more difficult the band is gonna give you. Now you can see with the slingshot, much thicker, much stronger. It's the exact same setup. However, you can place this one, I like to go right below the joint of the knee or right above the knee, outsides of the lower quad. Now this is a ton more resistance. I believe the hip circles were about 30 to 40 bucks. Oh man, keep nice and square like you're sitting on a small show pony. Okay, and those show ponies are your glutes. Nice and steady. You can also, oh, this is gonna be way worse. Sometimes people feel it more below the knee, sometimes people feel it more above the knee. We're gonna go higher up, same exact thinking. Make sure that you're sticking your hips back, sticking your butt way out there, and then you're just gonna sidestep. And really get your mind focused on the outsides of your buns. I'm gonna give you one more frontal view. Sidestepping, nice and controlled. Oh, my ass is absolute on fire. Now that band's gonna come off. Holy cow. Now the glutes are firing. You're gonna get a lot of meat back there. That's gonna help add more fullness to your ass. So that way, you get those blue jeans on and people just can't take their eyes off how sweet your booty's been looking. So, mini band side steps, slingshot hip circles. Don't underestimate these movements. I've been using these for years. Fantastic movements, especially for you guys that are athletes. A lot of athletes are moving laterally. If you're looking at a basketball defender or a football player side shuffling, or a baseball player, a lot of this movement is lateral movement. So these bands are gonna give you added resistance to be more explosive when you guys need to go laterally. Super duper awesome tool. These mini bands are literally $2 to like $4 a pop, and they're super strong. Same thing with these slingshot. I may not ever need another slingshot. This thing's probably gonna last me a good 10 years or so. Slingshot hip circle by Mark Bell. Perform Better. PerformBetter.com has a ton of exercise equipment, but these are specifically called mini bands. Last thing we're gonna cover today, guys, is the sumo deadlift. I just covered this last weekend with one of my ex-clients, Sean Murphy, who now is an elite powerlifter. He helped clean up my form, which kind of reminds me, guys, that there's a ton of information out there. I'm not your only source. There is no trainer that knows everything. It's really important to keep an open mind, keep the ego low and your mind open, because there is a ton of really fantastic information out there today. So we're gonna cover the sumo deadlift next. I've been doing deadlifts for not an extremely long time. Really, I've been taking my deadlift serious about for the last maybe 4.5 years or so. I don't lift really super heavy. I'm not really that competitive of a person anymore. I don't really care how much I can max. All I really care about is staying healthy for the rest of time until now, to my deathbed, and making sure that I'm moving efficiently. Doesn't mean I'm going super light, but a lot of the videos I'm gonna show you guys, I'm not gonna be stacking 400 or 500 pounds on the bar, because one, I need to save my body, and I'm not really competing for anything at all. So sumo deadlift is coming up next. I think it's really important that you guys do use chalk. If some of you guys don't have the strongest grip, I don't have really strong grip. I have a little bit of some elbow issues going on, which hinder me a little bit, but I'm treating the hell out of them, so it is getting better. But chalk your hands up. I think it's more so a grip thing, but it's also a psychological thing, so that you guys have really good leverage when you guys are starting to pull significant amount of weight. And it helps with your grip. It's just simple as that. So with the sumo deadlift, a few things that you guys are taking a look at when you guys set up. The sumo deadlift is a wide base, okay? Traditional deadlift is obviously right below the hips. Traditional setup is as if you were to jump up, let's say, and grab a rebound in basketball. It's gonna be right below the hips. That's where your most power is gonna come from to be explosive, okay? With the sumo, it's gonna be a little wider. So you're gonna use the markings on the bar. Your feet do need to be externally rotated outwards. I would say I mean, it depends on comfort from person to person. I say like a good 15, maybe 20 degrees is a good external rotation. You're gonna really wanna drive and express the knees outward. Now from there, bar stays over your shoelaces or like your midfoot, never really protruding past your toes. That's a really, really big deal. So I think some of you guys saw me go over this last weekend. Now with Sean Murphy, now we're gonna go from here, wherever those hands drop and feel comfortable. Some people call it doing the zombie and then just dropping your hands down. I was taught also that it's called the lazy gorilla. Wherever you feel like your arms naturally drop, that's where you're gonna grip the bar. Now, big thing with your starting position when you guys are doing your sumo is making sure that you're getting good lat engagement. So one thing Sean taught me last week that was really, really awesome was kind of hiding or closing up the armpits and really feeling your lats engage before you guys get into your pull. Sorry, my legs are burning a little bit. So I'm gonna get down to the bottom of my movement. Zombie or lazy gorilla, whatever makes the most sense. You're gonna get a nice good grip on the bar. You're gonna fill up your abdominal cavity with about 70% of air to create some inner thoracic pressure. Now from there, I'm gonna have to stop talking here for a second, but you're gonna have to drop the hips down, turn the elbows, engage the lats, fill the lungs up, and then drive up. Release that tension and then repeat. You don't need a whole lot of deadlifts. I personally think, from my own professional opinion, 10 years of personal training, there's no better exercise. I think just speaking in generalities for building overall muscularity, size, increasing your metabolic rate, strength, than the deadlift. That's my personal opinion. Other trainers or other people can say otherwise. Most bang for your buck, deadlift, whether it be a traditional or a sumo, whatever it may be, whatever feels most comfortable for you, try both. As always, disclaimer here, this is not a penis measuring contest. It's not how much weight you can put on the bar and lift, it's how you lift it. So start light. See a trainer, watch videos, repeat the movement 1,000 times before you put any weight on the bar, okay? So wide feet, lat engagement, open, express the knees out, rigid spine, drive up, and squeeze through the glutes. Sumo deadlift, all right?
Yo guys, hope you guys enjoyed the glute video today. I'm really having a good time making these videos for all of you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends. It's my goal between now and next February to have 100+ videos of just strict fitness content for you. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm putting out there. I look forward to seeing you guys next time on RoughToBeBuffTV. I'm KG. Peaces.